Hey people, welcome back to Bricks with Tips, and this is another installment on the Dubai Blueprint series where we give you all the steps that you need to move to Dubai. Now, we've gone through a number of very interesting steps. If you don't know, check the description where you will see the playlist. But if you're new to Bricks with Tips, as you know, we create content on property, finance, how to get you guys well prepped and well educated on the steps that you need to take to be successful in property.
Yep.
So, very interesting because this is an anticipated video, highly anticipated video, where we speak about how you can find the perfect home for you when you're moving to Dubai, right?
Obviously, we're doing this video because we've moved to Dubai and we decided to rent out here in Dubai. Now, that's something that's very new to us. We owned in the UK. So the whole renting experience, the whole process was something that was quite new to us.
Absolutely.
Having to investigate or even just the strategy of looking for a property that you want to rent versus when you want to buy in a different country is completely different and something that was new to us. So we are here to share our experience with you, and hopefully this will help anyone who wants to come over to Dubai and potentially rent as well.
But before we do, if you're looking to buy or rent in Dubai, just look in the description as we have a form that you can fill out, and we will personally help you find your perfect place in Dubai. We'll help you decide what type of property you want to buy, help you look at your budget, the things that you should be considering, so on and so forth. Us and our team on ground will make that possible for you. So make sure you fill out the form if you know you want to buy or rent in Dubai in the next 6 to 12 months. Let's get into it. So in the UK, we've been in property for 10 years. So I think that we've got a really, really good understanding of what you need to think about when it comes to renting or buying a property, right? Because it's the same process. So we want to help you guys do that, because for a lot of you, you may be thinking you've gone on Bayou or Property Finder and there's 15,000 properties and you don't know where to begin, you don't know what's a good area, so on and so forth. So hopefully in this video, we'll be able to help you knuckle down and think about where you want to buy exactly, the sort of things that you need to be thinking about, and so on and so forth. So guys, the first thing that we're going to start off with is your budget, which is super important. Now, everybody will have a different budget and your budget will change, right? We changed our budget a few times as well. I think that we had a range of like 150 to 180 at one point, and we said 250 to 300,000 AED, and then we finally settled on getting something between about 200 and 220,000 AED. So budget is super important. The budget that you have is going to be the main decider point, because as we mentioned, the amount of listings on Bayou are going to reduce, or Property Finder are going to reduce when you put in a budget. But guys, I always say with property, reduction is a good thing. Having filters is a good thing,
system, absolutely.
because it makes it real, right?
Yeah.
It makes it real. If you've got a choice of 15,000 properties, 10,000 properties, it's not a good thing, because you can't actively look through all of those.
Yeah.
So budget is a super important one.
Definitely. And out here in Dubai, your budget, it really depends on what type of property you want to go for as well. So your budget shouldn't just be, okay, I've got a roundabout number. Also have a filtering system for what type of property you want to go for. So whether that's an apartment, a villa, or a house, and that will help you go for your filtering system as well, because your budget will vary depending on what type of property you want to go for.
Budget included with villa, townhouse, or apartment. I think that those are the first things that you need to knuckle down on. And we're going to speak about some things. I mean, what sort of things do you think that people should consider when it comes to deciding between, if we put townhouse and villa in the same bucket and apartment in one bucket, what sort of things do you think that people should consider? Because Antoinette and I have never lived in an apartment.
No.
And we really like the idea of living in an apartment.
Before we got married and stuff like that, I always wanted to live in an apartment, but it just never made sense for our journey and our life. But it was something that we considered for a millisecond.
I would say it was longer than a millisecond.
You reckon?
Yeah, longer than a millisecond. We considered looking at apartments, because we knew we wanted garden space. especially because we wanted to extend the space of the apartment as well.
Yes, yeah,
So we were looking at ground floor apartments in some
yeah.
cases. We looked at some high-rise apartments and so on and so forth.
Yeah, we were quite fortunate to actually stay at our brother's apartment while he was on honeymoon. That's Ty's brother, who actually lives in an apartment. So we got to experience that, and we loved it. So I think that was around about the time we were considering an apartment.
Yeah,
But then again, with which is why it's always important to understand what you need. With us having two children, the ground floor apartment would have made sense for us. And the great thing about being out here in Dubai is that you can actually use the garden, as you mentioned, as an extension of your lounge space as well.
yeah.
Just because the weather is great, kids are always an opportunity for the kids to be outside. So that's something that we decided that we wanted.
Yeah, and I guess probably one of the main, and hopefully this helps you decide as well between house slash townhouse and, sorry, villa slash townhouse and apartment. One of the main things that we considered was the amount of rooms that we needed as well.
Yeah.
So where we are at the moment has 5 bedrooms basically, and we
Yep.
felt that we needed that because we knew that we wanted a guest room. We knew that we wanted a study room, not a study space,
Yeah.
and we knew that we wanted a room for a nanny slash maid basically.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking the same thing, that may factor into your decision making because typically, just generally speaking, the most with a maid's room you'll probably get is like 3 bed apartment plus
Yeah.
maids basically.
Yeah.
Doesn't really extend much further than that. There are options like that, but it doesn't really extend much further than that. So guys, to digress, budget and whether you want a house slash villa or an apartment, first thing to consider.
Yeah.
Now, also on budget, when you're thinking about your budget as well, just factor in the fact that you're going to have to pay 5% deposit and 5% agent fee
Yeah.
when you close. So we'll use this bit to go into money as well. Typically in Dubai, when you rent, you pay in checks. So you'll write a check. So the default is one check. A lot of landlords like one check. You can negotiate 2 checks to break it down. So what you'll do is that you'll write, if you are renting for 300,000 AED, you'll write 2 checks of 150,000 each, basically.
Yeah.
The landlord will cash the first one on day one, and then the second one on month 6.
So I was just going to simplify that just to be clear that it's standard that you'll pay your rent 1 year, one check equals 1 year's worth of payments, 2 checks biannually, 2 sets of payments. That's kind of the standard here.
Yeah, it'll go up to like 4 checks.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can do 6 checks. Sometimes you can do 12. When you start getting in the 6 checks and the 12 checks region, you probably will find that that rent of 300,000 has gone up to maybe 320,000, 330,000, because you'll be paid a premium for breaking it down further, basically. But if we go back to the example of 300,000 AED rent, sorry, I don't know if I've said pounds, so I mean AED, right? 300,000 AED rent, where you pay 2 checks. It's important to note that you'll pay 150 and 150, but when you pay the first 150, you'll also pay 5% in deposit and 5% in agent fees. So you'll pay 150 for the first 6 months, but you'll also pay 7.5 to the agent and 7.5 in deposit at that point in time. So hopefully that makes sense, and hopefully that sorts out budget and type of property. Let's move on. Next up, really, really important one, location. Like they say in property, the only thing that you can't change about a property, or one of the only things you can't change about a property, where it is. Yeah. So if you're in that place for a year, you're going to be in that community. You can renovate it, you can furnish it, you can do whatever you want to it, but you can't pick up your apartment in, let's just say, JVC and move it to the Palm, right? It can't happen. So location is a very, very important consideration. Now, our channel is primarily representative of us, which is a family of 4. So that's kind of the locations that we were looking into and the locations that we learned a bit about, basically. If you haven't seen our previous videos, the locations that we thought were good for families and for villas were MBR City, Town Square, Arabian Ranches 3, Villanova, and there's one more.
Did we consider Damac Hills?
The Mac Hills 2, and there's other ones like Serena and a few other ones as well, basically. So yeah, just put that out there in the front just in case people want to look into those ones. But in general, location does matter. So, Anne, what are the sort of things that people need to think about when it comes to
Yeah.
location?
So a couple of things to think about in terms of location. Are you employed? Are you self-employed? If you're employed, do you need to be close to the office? If you're not employed, then you're not really bound to a certain location, as you may have the flexibility to work from home or just go to coffee shops. Do you have children that will be going to a certain school that you like? Sometimes your decision based on where you live may actually be based on the school first and not the area. In that case, then you need to consider, transportation, and all the properties that are in and around that area, because of traffic sometimes, or just because of just convenience in general. Talking about traffic, are you someone that wants a quieter community similar to the UK? Are you someone that wants to be slightly out of the city so you don't really have that hustle and bustle? Or do you actually want to be in the center of where things are jumping and where all the hype is going on? So those are just a few things to consider. Transport, I mean, there is the metro based around in the main city. So when I say main city, where we live, we don't have direct access to the metro. We have to do a 10 or 15-minute drive to the closest metro station. So that's something to consider as well if you are choosing whether to buy or hire a car or not. Just your transportation, and not necessarily for work or school purposes, just for leisure as well. There are Ubers and taxis and Careem transport out here, but those are just the things to consider in your overall budget as to moving to Dubai, rather.
Yeah, and we're going to do a full video on transportation as well. So on this series, make sure that you look out for that as well. So yeah, absolutely. Location is a huge one as well. So the next one we're going to go into is the vibe of the community, right? And I feel like Dubai is quite good because each community has its own
Yeah.
vibe. We can speak to some of the ones that we've seen. So, like, you've got anything from. Also, guys, I'm going to interrupt here. I'm going to say this at the end of the video as well. If you want us to go and look at any specific communities and do a full tour/review, we didn't have plans to do it. But if that's something that you want, let us know in the comments below. If there's one comment, hey, I'm not sure that we will, right? But if there's quite a few of you that are saying that, yeah, I want to see this community, I want to see that community, I just want to see your top 3 communities for families, let us know in the comments below and we'll absolutely do that for you guys. But each community has its own vibe, right? So
yeah,
like, for example, let's speak about some of the communities that we looked at. So if you were to, what would you say is the vibe of Arabian Ranches 3?
I really like the vibe of AR3, Arabian Ranches 3. It's definitely giving close knit. It's giving community. It's giving, hey girl.
What does that mean? what does hey girl mean?
Okay, hey girl.
Some of you
Listen, the
might
girls
know,
that
but
get
I don't
get
know.
it.
Oh,
Okay,
okay. Speaking in a different language.
the girls that get it, get it. It's giving warmth. It's giving warmth. It's giving friendly. I really liked it.
It's an email community as well.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I really like email is one of the ones where
massive developer out here.
Its reputation precedes itself effectively. But I feel like their design and like their attention to detail is really, really good as well. They've got like a really nice mall in Arabian Ranches 3 with like really sleek designs and so on and so forth. But even to go to other communities. So on the other hand, you might look at MBR City, which is very like very, very neat and very, very professional.
That's true.
It didn't. I felt that Arabian Ranches 3 gave more family and children than MBR, but MBR is still great in itself. Then you've got apartment developments like Azizi, which for me gives like kind of like a very it gives a nice city residential feel to Dubai, nice
Yes.
community basketball courts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Loads of retail spaces underneath, which I loved in Azizi Riviera.
Yeah.
Then you can look at stuff like Dubai Creek Harbour, which is almost like a self-contained city in itself with
Yes.
everything you need in there. Very, very heavy on community, and it's got that family feel as well.
Absolutely. And the
With
views.
insane views
Oh my goodness.
of main Dubai. Another area with insane views is Emaar beachfront as well. So really, really good views there. Or you can go further up to Damac Hills 2, which is further, but very, very, I'd say, family based and huge amount of amenities, which we'll go into in the amenities video. So yeah, look, every development has its own feel and community feel to it. So you could do some research online and then decide what sort of feel you want to go for, basically. Then if you want to do luxury, there's a lot of places that you could do, like Jumeirah or even on the Palm if you wanted to rent or buy on the Palm. I know there's some of you that are watching this that have got Palm money. Palm is insane luxury. I've rented on the Palm a few times on as short stays, and it's I need to take Antoinette, but it's incredible. Like private beach behind the villa, and then the palm water is just sensational, so soft. It's like velvet, and it's like it's because Dubai's hot. It's very when I was there, it was warm, but yeah, the palm is sensational. If you ever get a chance to stay on the palm, buy or rent there, I would definitely recommend it, and I'm not surprised that the prices are what it is at the moment. Next up, amenities. So yeah, what are your top 3 amenities in the area? I let people know.
In our area?
No, in any area. What would you like if you could pick top 3 amenities?
An express shop. So like the main supermarkets here are Giant. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Lulu. Is it Lulu? And Spinneys. Just somewhere.
Spinneys, Carrefour, there's loads.
Oh yeah, Spinneys, Carrefour. Just somewhere where I can quickly just go and grab stuff.
Yeah, you need a shop.
You
need a shop in your community.
Yeah, you need a shop in your community. Yeah. You don't. I mean, convenience is like the key thing of Dubai. Like you can get things delivered to your door, but I'm still very much like, oh, let me go stretch my legs. Let me go to the corner shop if I need anything. So a shop, a coffee shop, pool, park.
You said 3. You know, 4. I'll let you get 5 if you could pick 5.
All right, pool, park, a paddle court. I'm trying to get into paddle. Real bad, and we don't actually have a paddle court yet.
It's being built.
But the fact that you can, so this is why I like communities. The fact that you can do most of your extracurricular activities in your community and not leave is fantastic.
Yeah.
So that's something that, just to point out there, you can go swimming, you can go to the park, you can go to the gym, you can play paddle, you can play basketball, you play football.
Yeah, let me give my 5 amenities.
Okay.
I would say the 5 things I would say is football pitch, a bank or ATM, one of the 2. It's very useful having an ATM in our community. Basketball court, gym. I'm trying to think of something that we don't have, which I would like. Dubai's quite mad. Like some communities have like mad stuff. Like
my friend's community, for example, they have a kids tutoring service, like a little like building for extra teaching, and they also have like a building for tailors as well. Yeah. So I need to get some clothes altered. Is altered the right word? Tailored? Anyway, I need to get some clothes taken in, and they have that facility in her community, which we don't have in ours, which is handy. You can go to like outside areas like Al Barsha and Dira to find people that will do it, but the fact that that's on your doorstep, I like that. Yeah,
so I think the final one for me would probably be I don't know, something crazy like a wave pool. But I'll say all that to say that the great thing about Dubai is that there's loads of amenities. Like we've unfortunately we got like a pharmacy in ours, doctors in ours. Some people got a hospital in their community. Yeah. We've got a nursery in our community. Some people have nursery and a school and a hospital.
Yeah, and there's a soft playing house as well.
If you live in the soft playing house as well. If you live in Dubai Hills, you've got a roller coaster.
Yeah.
In your community within Dubai Hills Mall. So yeah. Like there's a lot of amenities. It goes quite crazy. So decide on your amenities. Now the final thing that we say that you kind of got to decide on before you start searching is new modern style or old style? Because based on the development that you're looking at, it might be like the old Dubai design or like a more modern
Did
finish.
we see any old
We
stuff?
didn't because we knew that we
Oh,
wanted
okay.
new modern,
Yeah.
but there's plenty of them out there, like
Okay.
plenty of them out there. For a lot of expats coming from like Europe or America, you typically would be used to a newer modern style, which is, to be quite honest with you, it sounds bad, but we might have actually omitted any of the developments that are good, that are the old style, because we just wouldn't have looked at them because we were so sure we wanted a new modern style.
Yeah.
And all of the developments that we mentioned have a newer modern style, basically. So once you've kind of like cooked all of those together and made a decision on all of those, you can start searching. And the platforms that we say that you can search on, the main three is Bayut, Property Finder, and Dubizzle.
Dubizzle, that's it.
One quick tip as well is that always be aware that you may not be speaking to somebody who actually has the listing. It doesn't mean that you should be super skeptical of everybody, but just try and make sure that you do your due diligence. Sometimes it can be a tough place to navigate, basically, which is why we say that if you're serious about looking, you can look through us because we have people on ground that will do the viewings for you. In our previous videos, we've mentioned that we did everything via WhatsApp whilst in the UK. We kind of want to be able to offer the same thing to you guys as well. So yes, key thing to keep in mind. All right, guys. So next things to keep in mind when you are renting is the next steps. What happens when you've decided on your property and you've got an offer accepted? So what will typically happen is that you'll go visit the agent that arranged everything,
Yep.
and then you'll go make your payment, either by check or bank transfer or whatever you negotiated. Now, key thing to note, in order to rent a property, you need an Emirates ID.
Yes.
And this is why you'll find that most people come to Dubai, rent an Airbnb for a month, sort out their Emirates ID, and then rent a place, basically. And we kind of did it a different way around. We organized everything from the UK.
Yeah.
Then we came on holiday, rented our place,
Yeah.
left it empty for 2 weeks or so while I was furnishing it,
Yeah.
and came back to it, basically.
Yeah.
Key thing to note, though, you need an Emirates ID. And if you've been following our journey, you'll know that Antoinette got her Emirates ID first, and mine took a bit of a while to come through. So the tenancy agreement and a jari is like your contract or agreement. That's all in Antoinette's name. Now, when you're doing it, you can register the Ajari yourself. I think it costs, if I remember correctly, between about 200 and 250 AED, or you can get the agent to do it for you. They'll charge you a small service fee. At that point, we had so much money coming out of our ears, we just told the agent to do it. I don't want to hear a story about how I didn't do it properly, or registered it at the wrong place, or I got in the taxi and got to the wrong place, or blah 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 blah. I was like, yeah, please just register it. So key thing to note, to remember about that. Also, when you do the final viewing on your home, make sure that they do pest control, make sure they clean the AC, air vents. You're probably going to have to get cleaning done several times. Make sure you get the agent to get their cleaner to come in. But I would recommend, after the agent gets their cleaner to come in and sort out the property, get your cleaner to come in afterwards as well, basically. Any other tips? We unfortunately had a smoker in the property before. So there's still smoke in the vent. So every time you turn the AC on, you can smell smoke. We rectified it by getting those, those little car...
air freshener biscuits, I think.
Yeah, I just call them biscuits. They look like biscuits, but the air freshener thing that comes in a tin, it looks like two little biscuits. We bought those, put them in the vents, and it's cleared up smell completely. So quick hack for you guys. Obviously, take them out after the smell has gone.
I will give you another tip. Do a thorough search of the whole apartment, villa, townhouse, whatever you've decided to rent, for any snagging that's already been there. Take a picture, send it over to the agent, so they can inform the landlord that this is here before you've moved in. So it's not your responsibility to sort out, or that they can fix ahead of you moving in. So for example, we had a little crack somewhere, which they sorted out beforehand. We had a few things that we noted down. We had a list of 5 or 6 things noted down, which we let the agency know. We then informed the landlord, and they were able to come and sort everything out ahead of the move. Some things were done during our stay,
Yeah.
but it's just that, you know, it's their responsibility. We didn't have to pay for it as it was there before we moved in. If you leave it a bit too late and it's bothering you later down the line, you will be responsible for paying and dealing with it.
Yes, absolutely. And also another quick tip as well, make sure you check your water pressure.
Yes.
And check all of the bath taps and all of the showers. You don't want to move in and there's an issue and it's stopping you being able to bath or whatever, because
saying that, it depends on whether your water is set up, because if your water is not set up, then they won't know. So if it is set up, do that ahead of moving in. If it's not set up, the first day that you're in, check all of that, and then you have leeway because the water wasn't set up.
Absolutely.
So I wasn't to know until the water was set up.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because in actual fact, you're going to need to set up your DWA, which is your water and electricity. You need to turn that on basically.
Yeah.
And you can only do that after you've registered the Ajari. So for an apartment, you're going to leave a deposit for your DWA of 2,000 AED. For a villa or townhouse, you're going to leave a deposit of 4,000 AED. And that will set up your DWA. And at that point, your electricity and your water and so on and so forth will start working. And at that point, just make sure all of the lights are working, make sure things like the extractor fan for the cooker's working, make sure that the water pressure is good, make sure that the showers and everything is functioning correctly. Also, things like your washing machine, dishwasher, and so on and so forth. Before we move on, two last bits I want to mention. The first is your AC. So if you're in an apartment, the chances are your AC is going to be chiller free, which means that your AC costs don't draw an extra cost. It's all included. However, if you're not chiller free, then you might have chiller costs, which you have to account for as well. The next thing is on deposits as well. How deposits typically work, or how paying for damage typically works, is that if there is a problem, quite often than not, a landlord will set a figure, which will be in your tenancy agreement / Ajari basically, where it's like, if anything costs up to 1,000, you pay for it. Mm-hmm. Anything over 1,000, the landlord pays for it. So that means if something costs 850 AED to fix, you would pay for all of it. However, if it costs 1,200 AED, it's not a situation where you pay 1,000 and the landlord pays 200. They will pay the whole 1,200. Now, bear in mind, when it comes to fixes and repairs, you're probably going to be the one that gets the quote. Your landlord's probably not based in Dubai. Mm-hmm. Leave that there. Yeah. Next up, an exciting one, furnishing your apartment or villa. Exciting times. Remember, it doesn't have to all be done at once. As you can see behind us, we haven't got our grass laid yet. It's been a month and we haven't got our grass laid. Yeah. It doesn't have to be done all at once, but it's an exciting time. Ant, do you want to give the people some gems on where they can go to furnish?
Yes, so furnishing, there are quite a few places that you can get really nice furniture from, such as Pan Home, Home Box. They even have an IKEA here.
Yeah, and there's other places as well. So you could go to like middle end and high end places. So like Bow Concept or West Marina Home, different stores, like different like boutique stores that have high end furniture. You can even find them online. Like you'll find that there's a lot of people that will say like, this table came in from the Netherlands, or this coffee table is from France. So whatever suits your budget and whatever you want to do. But a lot of people do go to Dragon Mart. So Anthony, do you want to tell them about Dragon Mart?
Yeah, Dragon Mart is basically a little gem in Dubai. It's a massive, how would I describe it? Imagine like a huge warehouse where everyone has their little stores, their little shops, and you can buy any type of furniture, literally from sofas to bedding to stools, dining room tables to lighting, down to like if you own like a beauty shop, you can get all your like wood therapy equipments and stuff like that. It is huge. We spent a good few hours out there, and one of the best things about Dragon Mart is that you can customize everything to your taste, to your required measurements, to the color, everything literally. So they'll have like a standard template of what you would want, and then, you know, if you wanted 10 lines in your bed frame, they can do 10 lines. If you
Yeah.
wanted it a certain color, they will create that color for you. If you needed your sofas to be 25 by 45 or 45.25, they will create that sofa for you to those exact measurements, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
They're not huge stores, they're quite small boutique, but they will have like the main things to display, and then they will have a catalog which you can either see physically, or they'll bring an iPad and show you the things that they've got in their warehouse. And yeah, they create stuff for you, and they give you the time frame as well of when it will be ready, and they will actually deliver everything to your property as well.
So based on the fact that everything is custom, what you really need to make sure that you do is take measurements before you go, because you can see a sofa and you say, look, I want this sofa, but I want it to be 10 centimeters less, and they will do it for you. Now, delivery times are decent, still quite long, but better than the UK. So for like sofas, it might take 10 to 15 days basically. Whereas I know for sofas in the UK, it can take like 6 to 16 weeks basically. So yes, absolutely, definitely bear that in mind. Here's another tip for you that we did as well. We did a mixture of all of those different bits. But one thing that we did is that we went and found businesses that didn't have physical stores.
Yes.
In our head, it would be that they have less overheads, but they can still deliver quality products basically. And seeing as everything was custom made, we were able to get what we want. Crazy enough as well, everything is done via WhatsApp. So we found some businesses on Dubizzle and just WhatsApp them and told them to make exactly what we wanted. So that goes for stuff like our media wall, our dining table and chairs. We got it custom made to the T of exactly what we want. So you can do that as well. And it can be very, very well priced when you do that as well.
100%.
Regarding cost of furnishing, it can vary. Dubai is very interesting, right? You can spend, I always say you can spend 20,000 AD on furnishing. You can spend 2 million on furnishing. Whatever you have, Dubai will take it.
Yeah.
There's got a price point for everything. So we will do a video on how much it costs us to furnish when we do our video about the startup costs in Dubai. So we will cover that. But guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If there's any questions that you do have for us, make sure you let us know in the comments below.
Yes, please.
As mentioned before, if you're looking to buy or rent in Dubai in the next 6 to 12 months, we'll put an inquiry form below so you can just fill it out, and us or our team will reach out to you. And finally, if there's any developments that you want to see, whether you know the development or whether you just want to know our top 3 for families, please let us know in the comments below. If we get enough comments, we will get access to these developments through the developers, because we've already built out a lot of these relationships already, and we will do a tour and let you guys know. So hopefully you've enjoyed that episode on the Dubai Blueprint, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.